So now we've set up the base in Tyflow, we can now do the pathfinding looking at a more urban environment and urban scale. So the first thing you want to do is create a bunch of different lines, and these will simulate the streets for the urban environment that you are mocking up and creating for creating the pathfinding tools that will lead into the different buildings. So you can see I've created 5 of those there. If you just select all of those now, we go to the modify panel and we can just type in now spline offset and just select that one now. So as you can see, it looks a little bit weird on the offset, so just change the distance to something more suitable, say 1 or 2. So if we've got 1, it's probably a little bit too thin, but we can change that after, and change the end type from closed line to an open butt, and you can see the offset is perfect, but we don't want to keep the original spline in the middle, so we want to turn that one off after as well. So change it to about 2 meters, so the scale looks pretty reasonable. So these could be roads, pathways, whatever, and untick the keep original spline. The next thing we want to do is create a shape boolean. So we'll do that one now. So you won't be able to do a shape boolean if you select all of them. The best thing to do is just selecting one individually, and then you can do it. As you can see here, so just click tab, shape boolean, and now you're in shape boolean with that one pathway or road selected. Scroll down and you'll be able to see the operands. And the operands we want a union, so we want to select all of the other ones. And as you can see, that green double circle means union, and now they're all turned into one street network, which will become the mesh that we're using for the pathfinding on the Tyflow. So in the modifier panel now we can select edit poly, and this makes it as a mesh and a surface, as you can see here. And that means it's ready to go into Tyflow. So next we'll create a bunch of different boxes, and these boxes will represent the buildings that the people are traveling to. So imagine they're driving on these as roads and they're traveling to each different building. So let's just quickly create them there. As you can see now it's all ready to go and done. We can create the Tyflow. Click on the Tyflow and open the editor from the modify panel. And the first thing we're going to create is the birth again. The display small dots is going to change. So if we click on that one, change it to the geometry, and we're just going to be doing spheres again, just low res spheres. So next thing we'll do is we'll add in the position object. And the position object is going to be where it's actually spawning from. Instead of faces like before, we'll change that one to volume. So if we go down on the list there, we can find volume. The next one we'll be adding is the pathfinding that we did previously. So let's add that one into the third position. And the last one is shape, which will be the shape of the object coming out, which will be the sphere. Now we've got it all ready to go. Let's change the shape from a triangle. So we'll scroll down from 2D to 3D. Just make that a little bit smaller just so you can see both the panel in 3ds Max and the panel in Tyflow. And we'll just change that one there from the triangle to the 3D low res sphere. There we go. So we can just check that. We'll go now into position object, and we just want to pick the object as this purple building and double check that using the timeline to make sure that it's actually spawning on that location. Next, we'll go to pathfinding, and we want to pick the mesh that we've just created, which is the road network, as what they'll be pathfinding along, and make sure that snaps surface to all frames so they're not cutting any corners as they go through. Change the object to random points so that it goes to random different buildings throughout its travel. And then we can quickly just select each box as well, and those will be the destination objects that these will be traveling to. So just select all of those, and then along the path it will randomly travel to each of these different box locations, imagining maybe it's going from a main building into different houses or something along a street network. If you press pick, you can, and none of them are selecting, then it means you've selected them all already. Okay. So if we zoom in and we get the timeline going, we can see that they're randomly going to the different house locations along the street network. But the spheres are a little bit small, so we might want to just bump those up. So we can just change the scale in Tyflow. So we go to the open editor, go to shape, and we can just tick the scale percentage button there in size and just change it to say like 300%. And that will make it a little bit more visible for us to be able to see how they're moving along the tracks. Now you can see if you just let it play along the timeline, each of these spheres are traveling, or could be a pedestrian or a car or something going to a different building. simulating this pedestrian flow in a more urban centre.